Welcome to the Reality Revolution. I'm your host, Brian Scott. We have a very fascinating channeling recently delivered on March 9th, 2024 from Quo. For those who do not know, Quo is a principle of higher density alien civilizations that channel spiritual information through a group called LL Research. We have explored Quo for several years now, and there is a plethora of amazing channelings that focus on questions of a spiritual nature. And this one is kind of interesting. There's a lot of different questions that are asked in this channeling. It's a rather long channeling for the standard channeling of Quo, and they talk about sexual energy transfer, reprogramming, preincarnational programming during incarnation, personal experience in sexual energy exchange. How do we know what it is part of the preincarnational plan? Ringing in thy head, seemingly losing a state of high vibration. Is use of the hands always necessary in the healing arts? To what degree does one retain their study of the channeling transcripts? When reincarnating, can one move backward in the stream of time? Is there a focus or prayer to utilize in the upcoming solar eclipse? This was delivered on March 9th, so they're talking about solar eclipse. An encouragement for the instrument. So let's begin. Jim channeling. I am Quo, and greet each in love and in light this afternoon. We have been with your circle of seeking for the time that you have been together, and we feel most inspired by the joy and love that circulates so freely within each entity here. It is something that we feel most honored to be a part of, for we seek that joy and love of the one infinite creator that moves so abundantly today within the circle. And as we seek that love and joy, we have a certain way of expressing ourselves that you may call being those of your brothers and sisters who are also upon this journey of seeking the one creator within ourselves and within all beings. We have moved somewhat further along this path perhaps than you, and we are hopeful that what we have to say will help you on your journey. But if any word or thought does not have that feeling of being useful on your path, we would ask you to ignore it and take only those words and thoughts that resonate with your own inner being. For your own inner being is that one infinite creator that moves and lives and breathes as do you, and it will let you know what words and thoughts are best for you. This frees us to speak in a way which we could not if you would not lay aside those thoughts that have no value. So with that having been said, we would ask if there is a query with which we may begin. Hello, Quo. This is T. I would like to ask about the discipline of the personality leading to the opening of the energy centers in regards to sexual energy transfer. That Ross says, it's the entire system of opening the gateway to intelligent infinity. And that higher transfers for the creator knowing itself and a great beauty, solemnity, and wonder, and that time-space experience. And once that's experienced, what is the best route to continue to pursue that path and to be aware of the transfers and how they're taking place? I am Quo, and am aware of your query, my sister. You have asked a query which is focusing upon one of the most powerful exchanges of energy that any entity in any density may partake in, for it is the joining of two, what you call seekers of truth, who are dedicating their lives in general, and the sexual energy exchange in particular to the seeking and serving of the one creator within each of them and within all of the creation. For as you seek to share the sexual energy exchanges, you are opening up a gateway to intelligent infinity that travels through each of the chakras. The chakra of the red ray, where there is the sexual reproduction, the survival of the being, opening the orange ray of the self, the basic acceptance of the self and the personal unique qualities, the eccentricities that make you one of a kind in the infinite universe, to the yellow ray of group energies, groups such as this group that blends together other various orange ray energies in service to others in a more expanded fashion, and then to the heart chakra, that ability to see and feel and become and share the one infinite creator in all that you see about you. The opening of the heart is the basic feature and facet and function of your third density illusion, From this center, you may springboard higher to the blue ray energy center, where there is the giving and receiving of honest communication, the feeling of the Creator moving through you into inspiration, where there is the sharing of the nature of the Creator, beginning to expand yet further into the indigo ray energy center, where you are indeed a portion of the Logos, the intelligent energy that moves throughout the one creation and is a part of every feature of the creation. This intelligent energy then provides a gateway to the violet ray chakra, that which resounds with the balance of the previous energy centers and also exposes one or reveals to one the sacred nature of each moment that you live in this creation. When you are able, in your sexual relationship with another that has the same devotion to the one Creator, and you dedicate the sexual energy exchange between the two of you to the seeking and serving of that one Creator, not only within yourselves, but within every entity that you meet around about you, then you are making a path to the Creator that you may travel in your own experience of the sexual energy exchange, moving into the infinite realms of mystery, the mystery and nature of the one infinite creation that is a part of you, and you are a part of it. You are becoming one with all that is. This type of energy exchange is that which moves each further along the path of seeking unity with the Creator, for it is that which is the Creator, that which is you, that which is infinite in its mystery and expression of mystery. When you have exchanged these sexual energies and dedicated yourself to their sharing with all, then you have become part of that which you seek, the one infinite Creator in each moment, in each experience, in each other entity that you meet, as you glow with that exchange of the power, the love, the joy, the passion, the mystery of the one Creator. Is there any further query, my sister? Just are the headaches that I've been experiencing during this time, they're correlated to this experience, the sexual energy experience? I am Quo, and I'm aware of your query, my sister. We find that there is a certain amount of information that we may give without infringing upon your free will, for what you are experiencing is a portion of the exchange of sexual energy, which is moving into the indigo ray energy center. In this energy center, it is necessary to do work in consciousness, shall we say, the work which reveals more and more of yourself to yourself as the one Creator. This is the work you do when you move throughout your daily round of activities and interact with various entities that you may or may not know, and in some fashion make a connection so that there is the sharing of this love and the one Creator. But if there is any type of blockage of energies, then you can share with another being. Then there is work to be done in the balancing of difficult energy, the lack of love, the partaking in what seems to be separation, so that the energies of the sexual energy exchanges that you have experienced are then more able to move freely through the indigo ray energy center. This is the work of a lifetime for many, and for many is only that which they aspire to, for this is the work of the adept. Is there a further query, my sister? No, thank you, Quo. I am Quo, and we thank you, my sister. Is there another query at this time? Yes, Quo. Within LL Research, there are 4 members who attune and tap into the channeled source, Quo. By contrast, there seems to be a growing number of individuals who also channel various sources, perhaps Quo. I don't know. Can you explain how to develop this ability as an individual channeler? I am Quo, and am aware of your query, my brother. This is a query which has many facets that would be time-consuming to go into detail. We can suggest that if you wish to become a channel of the type that sits within this room at this time, that there is a process that one goes through in order to do this. However, it is a process which takes what you call time, and will be that which is of use to you only if you are able to join this group. And this group, for the time being, has moved its ability to accept new members to a future date, when perhaps there will be another group that would form. If you wish to channel your own inner guides, however, and are aware of their presence within your being, and how they may wish to speak through you, this you may do on your own. For your guides are a portion of you, a higher portion of you, sometimes the higher self, sometimes the male or the female guide, or the androgynous guide. So there are 4 potential possibilities for you and your ability to seek their contact, perhaps in meditation, perhaps in contemplation or prayer, so that you may become aware of their presence within your own being and become aware of the concepts, perhaps, or words or images that you can take into your mind and emotions and spirit to consider as those feelings and communications that come from a higher portion of yourself, a portion of yourself that is beyond the veil of forgetting, that sees the creation as unity created by the one infinite creator, using the power of love and manifesting as what you see the material objects about you in this world that you live in. This is the most available and most easily accessible kind of channeling that you may do. There are many, however, as you have mentioned, that channel various entities or beings that may or may not be of a positive nature, that utilize some positive concepts to become accepted by the one channeling, and then at some point within the channeling turn to the corner, shall we say, to move into more dark areas of experience and information. Thus, this is not a potential that we would recommend for you to pursue. Is there a further query, my brother? No, thank you. I am Quo, and we thank you, my brother. At this time, we will transfer this contact to the one known as Austin. We are Quo. Austin channeling. We are Quo, and we are now with this instrument. We reiterate our gratitude through this instrument for your invitation to join you in your circle of seeking. For there is an exchange between us of Quo and any seeker who encounters our words, whether they are present in this circle or encounter them recorded at a later time. And in this exchange, we benefit from as much as we hope that you benefit from our offering. Beneath the words that are shared and the information that is shared, there is a magical component to this connection that is deeper than any particular type of information that we can offer within the words. At this time, we would ask if there is a query to which we may respond. Yes, Quo, my understanding is that before we are born, we make pre-incarnational plans about the challenges we will face in the links of our life. Is it possible to renegotiate these agreements during our incarnation? For instance, if someone has a serious illness and wants to live longer in order to perform more service to others for a longer time, can that person extend their life or change the course of their illness? I am Quo, and am aware of the query, my brother. We offer our appreciation for the heart from which this query comes, for we understand that within your density, shrouded with the veil of forgetting, the elements that go into your experiences that generate catalysts of a difficult nature, the journey can be confusing, and the desire to discern how these catalysts influence you and how you can relate to them is indeed an essential part of the path of the spiritual seeker. We would offer some information regarding the notion as presented within the query, that decisions are made prior to the incarnation, for this is indeed true, that the seeker and the seeker's higher self, along with perhaps other components of what you would call the guidance system of the seeker, take an immaculate microscope, you may say, to the plans offered to the seeker prior to the incarnation and the landscape into which the seeker hopes to incarnate, discerning the various possibilities and probabilities for the seeker. It is impossible, you may say, to plan an incarnation with 100% certainty. There are various components to the incarnation that can be decided upon that the entity and the entity's higher self desires, that the incarnated entity who has forgotten these plans might relate to these circumstances in certain ways so that it generates a certain type of catalyst and thus allows the seeker to grow in the desired way. However, the advent of the veil of forgetting extends a particular quality of free will to the incarnated entity, and in a certain way you can view this incarnated entity as having its own distinct free will, for it has forgotten these plans and can choose freely to relate to these circumstances in any manner that it desires, and sometimes the plans, you may say, go in a different direction than was initially desired, and then new circumstances come into the picture. So we paint this picture so that there is an understanding that not every single circumstance is preordained necessarily. Each type of circumstance, each desire for a certain type of catalyst does not contain a level of magnetism of probability, so that whatever the lesson is or the desire to learn may be, certain circumstances may manifest. Some of these circumstances known and planned before the incarnation, and some perhaps novel but speaking to the same type of learning that is desired. The key component of this dynamic, as we are sharing with you, is the notion that these circumstances come to the entity in order to learn a certain type of lesson. These circumstances don't necessarily need to take any particular form so long as the seeker is able to discern within those incarnated circumstances a particular type of catalyst that will transform the seeker in a desired way. It is this desire that is an overriding component of this equation. the desire outside of the incarnation to transform and to learn and to experience the Creator in a particular way. And so within the incarnation, there may be some circumstances that are attempting to teach a certain lesson. And the free will of the incarnated entity may indeed utilize certain tools available to the entity to change these circumstances, or as you say, renegotiate the circumstances. However, this renegotiation, we would say, is most effective and successful if the lessons are ascertained and the catalyst is grasped and utilized to the greatest extent that it can be. Otherwise, even if such a renegotiation may seem successful from the incarnated point of view, new circumstances may arise wishing to present themselves to the seeker in order that the seeker may learn the same lesson that was renegotiated. So indeed, this dynamic that you have presented of renegotiation is possible, and certain plans that were desired prior to the incarnation can be transformed. But the overriding desire of the entity outside of the incarnation and the higher self, understanding the ultimate destination of the entity, will continue to manifest in various ways, and we can only recommend that each circumstance, no matter how it presents itself, how desirable or undesirable, contains within it the love and the light of the one infinite Creator. And the most overwhelming desire for any entity within any incarnation within the third density is that the entity seek that love and that light within those circumstances presented to it. And even if this is unsuccessful, even if the love and the light is not ascertained, the simple act of seeking it indeed resounds to the core of that entity's plan within the incarnation, and the transformation that you are hinting at within your query becomes possible. Is there a follow-up to this query, my brother? Thank you, quote. We mentioned that because of the veil of forgetting, we don't know what the plan is. We're sort of flying blind. How do we know what's part of the plan and what's an unfortunate accident? Is it possible through meditation to check with our higher self and discern more effectively if one is on the path that one is supposed to be on? I am Quo, and I'm aware of the query, my brother. Indeed, though the veil of forgetting, particularly within this density, is quite powerful in that it shields the entity from this knowledge of the plan designed prior to the incarnation, it is, as we have called it, semi-permeable, and the entity who has the will and the desire to come into alignment with the plan can discover tools available to it to find a certain outline of this plan, and to become familiar with those circumstances and catalysts that are more in tune with the desire prior to the incarnation. We would offer a slight correction in your query that within the creation of the one infinite Creator, there are no mistakes. There are surprises, and though some catalysts within the incarnation may indeed seem much more random than other catalysts, each circumstance given to each entity has a quality and a use to that entity. But it is indeed true that some circumstances do not speak to the overwhelming desire of the pre-incarnated plan. And so within the meditation, you may discover that some circumstances contain something more essential to you as a seeker, as you develop a meditative practice to discover this inner voice that can guide you within your incarnation. You can also develop a sense of intuition and awareness of the resonance within yourself, where it will become clear that certain things that arise within your life and your circumstances resonate more strongly with that plan. And that desire that you had prior to the incarnation and others fall away more easily where they do not resonate within you. We clarify this term resonance as we're using it now not just to be a pleasant, harmonious resonance, but if any circumstance sticks with you as a seeker and maintains a certain vibration, pleasant or unpleasant within your being, then this, we would suggest, is relevant to your plan that you have incarnated to discover and to transform. Is there a further query, my brother? No, thank you. I am Quo, and we thank you, my brother. Is there another query with which we may respond? I have one, Quo. You've brought this up in the past, and I'm wondering if we are able to get a little more insight into this. I've come across more seekers that have spoken about a ringing in their head, and I just wondered if there's anything more that we can know about that without breaking the free will arrangement. I am Quo, and I am aware of the query, my sister. As we examine this query in the present circumstance among the seekers upon your planet, There is indeed a quality to which we cannot speak, for there is a rich landscape to discover for the seekers who are experiencing such an internal vibration or catalyst that can be discovered through the sharing between the seekers and a discussion about the circumstances from which this inner ringing arises. We would suggest the examination of the circumstances of the day at which it happens, the thoughts that tend to trigger such ringing within the head, and the location that it seems like this ringing may be coming from. By discussing with others who are experiencing the same catalyst, differences and similarities may be discovered that can then be taken into a deeper meditation and contemplated upon, and this catalyst or sensation might develop into something more meaningful and deeper, and the purpose behind it, the portal that it is presenting to you as a seeker, may become more clear, and you may step through this portal to something that is more meaningful and you applicable in more direct ways on your path as a seeker. Is there a follow-up to this query, my sister? No, thank you. I am Quo, and we thank you, my sister. At this time, we take leave of this instrument and transfer the contact to the one known as Gary. We are Quo. We are those known to you as the principle of Quo, and we blend our energies with this instrument. We sense the air in this circle of seeking, and we feel the mixture of energies from those present, all united in a theme of simple joy and belonging and connection. To have that space, to be present, to be seen, to express that which is meaningful to each in a way that enlightens the load for each seeker upon the path. At this time, we open to receive any query to which we may respond. We are those of Quo. Quo, I have a question. I feel a sense of loss in the path, where a few years back I experienced a state of high vibration and much light and love and unity. And as my path has unfolded, I have felt thrown into the school of earth once more to feel pain and suffering like all humans. And as I have grown to accept this as a lesson in healing, I have found peace. Yet I still feel this strong feeling of wanting to return to that state. Can you help me and others that might be in a similar position with this paradox? We are those of Quo, and have received and appreciate this query, my brother, for it is one you, as you know, are certainly not alone in expressing. Indeed, rare is the entity, if not almost non-existent within your world, who does not traverse through episodes such as you describe, often cyclically throughout the journey. It is the nature of your third density experience and the sojourn through this illusion that your feet not travel solely upon the higher elevations, shall we say, where the view is expansive, where the perspective broadened, and where one can see the overarching beauty of a more holistic vision that sees the valleys, the dry places, the marshes, the deep dark forest as part of a whole which is beautiful, and thus has a certainty and a zest in the stepping of the feet as the self moves forward from strength to strength, seeking the light, ready for what may come, feeling strong within the self. For the terrain that you walk is a varied one, and that path which you travel is destined to move through many sites and places, each with its own lesson and reflection to impart about the self, as it is only in passing through those places, the valley where the sun may be seen little, the maze of forests where the path may seem to be out of sight as the self wanders, the arid circumstance where nourishment seems to be few and far between, that the seeker will have the opportunity to ask itself questions it may not have otherwise asked in the high place, where the seeker may meet opportunities of transformation, where he or she decides to set something aside which is weighing the self down through this environment through which the self travels, or the seeker may meet new faces and hearts who the seeker may otherwise have not met, who may offer the self new reflections or even a recurring reflection of a theme, but from a new aspect. And once again, the self is given novel opportunity to dig into those central themes of the life, to make those themes more conscious and clear, that the self may work with them once again, but from a new vantage point. What is lost, our friends, seemingly is not the connection to the source, is not the momentum of the journey, is not the knowledge that one had seemed to gain, but rather merely the perspective that one had enjoyed previously simply because of certain limitation and modes of their present chapter in the journey. To say it is lost would be for the trees during the winter season to say that the sun and warmth and the source of light are lost and yearn for the return of spring and summer. It is natural for this yearning. We do not in any way indicate error. Instead, we invoke this metaphor as a point for your own contemplation and consideration in the cyclical, seasonal, episodic nature of the journey. There are times intended for greater confusion. This confusion is not necessarily indicative of losing one's way, but it is rather productive for that which it inspires within the self. In your case, my brother, this seeming distance from that which you enjoyed formerly, and the questions of uncertainty that seep into the mind, are that which inspires your duckling feet to paddle beneath the water to do the work. And this is where faith is most developed. For when the light is sensed strongly and one feels centered and balanced and able to withstand and greet the catalyst of the day with the open heart, things are easier. The way forward is seen with greater vision. Faith need be less invoked. In circumstances such as you described, the seeker is lucky to look down and see the ground upon which they stand, much less that which awaits at the next step and the next. They are in a darkness, so to speak, of unknowing, of not seeing. And in that darkness is ample opportunity for doubting the self, doubting how the self got there in the first place, doubting what may come, or if the self has the resources or the ability to make their way out, shall we say. And in the absence of light reflected in the eyes of the path ahead, one sees only by faith. This may be described as an essential trust. One has no hard evidence, you may say, that in fact underneath the illusion of appearances all is well, and the self is on track. One has no great map in this, as you have described, abyss. One instead leaps into the unknown as a volitional act of will, in a declaration that says, perhaps with words, but not merely with words, with the fullness and totality of one's being, that I trust that whatever the surface appearances, whatever the threats or disasters that may seem to be lurking around the next corner, I trust that I am in the hands of the one infinite being. The human intelligence that I use to analyze and guide my journey and make choices is but a small reflection of an infinite intelligence from which I am inseparable. That intelligence is with me, is in me, is in each moment and person I encounter, is in the design of that illusion through which I travel. And that infinite love and awareness supports my every decision and can be accessed and tapped into in a more conscious and palpable fashion in proportion to the degree to which I can faithfully learn to release the fear, the anxiety about what may come, the desire to control that which is outside of my control, and open my heart and trust that by practicing love upon myself and upon other selves, and by intending to seek the light, I am held, I am not lost. The deeper you engage these practices, which you and you alone can render in your life, as we offer only principles for your consideration, within the garden of your heart and the deep dark soil of your winter times or times of confusion, the more will bloom that fruit of self-realization that discovers that self that is beyond this concept that you entertain of lostness. That self that is beyond whatever choice is before you, or whatever terrain through which you walk. That self which you always are, which is not the role that you play currently as an incarnate actor, and thus in that balance whereby you must still be and operate this incarnate actor, you may also rest back into the perfection. And the more through the portal of faith that you move, the more you may discover and abide within this perfection, the more paradoxically that the circumstances of the illusion may transform and conform to reflect this understanding of perfection. It is through this acceptance of imperfection that such transpires. We are those of Quo, and would ask if there's a follow-up to this query, my brother. No, thank you, Quo. We thank you, my brother, and we would ask if there's another query in this circle. We are Quo. Yes, Quo, I have a question about energy a little bit. I'm curious, being an energy healer, I'm curious if it is necessary for one to always have to use their hands to heal others or myself. And if not, are there ways or other practices one could use that may work just the same? We are those of Quo, and thank you for this query, my brother. The offering of the catalyst of the healer to the one which wishes to be healed may take as many forms as there are healers and ones wishing to be healed. The hands specifically are a powerful manner of expressing the beingness of the healer, that the catalyst may be offered on a variety of levels, as the hands and the appendages to which they are connected that flow into and from the body may express the will of the healer and may allow the healer the dexterity in an outwardly expressed fashion to move and manipulate, enhance and intensify and offer energy to the one who wishes to be healed. The hands, as such, may be an indispensable tool to any such healer, but as the earlier portion of your reply indicated, what is on offer from the healer is not simply or merely the skillful movement of energy. Rather, and most powerfully, is the beingness of the healer, the quality of the presence of the healer, the radiation of realization of oneness with the creator of the healer. The healer offers themselves as a portal from and to the ground of being of all beings, of all sentient creatures. The healer is a conduit, shall we say, to the realm of the infinite for the self who wishes to be healed. As you know, our brother, the healer is not the one responsible for doing the healing, but rather the offering of the opportunity that the one to be healed may recognize its deeper, truer, broader self and adopt a larger, shall we say, configuration for the self, a new or novel configuration for the self that releases the identification with the disease or limitation or symptom which led them to the path of seeking healing. It is this opportunity that the healer offers and is a function and outgrowth, first and foremost, of the healer's work upon itself, to heal and forgive the errors as you may see them, the trauma and the wounding, the various ways that the healer, as with all beings, misapprehends. The creator, to restore the healer from this identification with the small and mortal fallible self, conditioned by a world which is struck chronically in the blockages and imbalances of the lower rays, to a vision of the self as being whole, complete, and perfect, which is to say, being divine. The healer, in doing the work upon themselves, learns skillfully not only to open the gateway such that infinity may flow through, but to discover the self as not other than that infinity, that one being which pervades all manifestation. The healer opens this doorway through this difficult but necessary step of surrendering the sense of being unworthy of this light, not through a great, as you might see it, egoic declaration that says, I am worthy because, and then list one's virtues or accomplishments or positive qualities, but rather releases the self-judgment and self-negation that obscures and clouds the true nature, releases the conditioning which each in this circle and each upon your planet have absorbed about the unfit and unworthy nature of the self, in the recognition that the self is perfect as the self is now. This, as the one known as T was describing in your circle previously, is a key fruit of that which we have described as the disciplines of the personality, to know oneself, to accept oneself, and to become the creator. This, my friend, is a worth that is synonymous also with true humility, for it is a rendering transparent of the personality, not an intensification or enlargement of the personality, but a recognition that the personality, however it may be presented, however necessarily and unavoidably flawed and imbalanced, is a perfect spark of the Creator. Which is not to say there is never work to do in perfecting, healing, and clearing that personality, for you will be called even more strongly to this work the more you attempt to make contact with and channel this divine core of your own nature. One's blockages will become brighter, louder, and call the attention even more so. Which is why, as we have counseled previously, it may also be dangerous to strengthen the will and make this contact, for the opportunity for imbalance becomes greater. But if the self is true to the work, they may use the enhanced opportunity made available. We find, meandered to some degree, my brother, in attempting to speak to the greater, more fundamental work of the healer, but as the instrument would humorously say, the TL:(DR) version may be that the hands indeed may not be necessary, but this is for the individual healer to find and discover as a necessary portion of their journey, how it is they wish to offer the fruits of their own work to those to whom they wish to offer the catalyst of healing. Is there a short follow-up to this query, my brother? No, thank you, Quo. We thank you. At this time, we transfer our contact to the one known as Jim. We are those of Quo. I am Quo, and I'm with this instrument this time. We may ask if there is another query at this time. Gary. Yes, quote, this query comes from B, who quite impressively read the entire LL Research transcript library, which I would note really is in its 50th anniversary this year, even though there's a couple of random transcripts in 72 and 73. B writes, quote, seeing as the entirety of the LL Research Group's channeling sessions have been basically downloaded into my subconscious through my careful conscious reading of all the many transcripts, will this database then continue to be available to my subconscious and my somewhat near conscious self for years and years to come? I'm assuming that if somehow my conscious thoughts refrain from visiting these concepts and philosophies for any considerable length of time, will this knowledge then fade away significantly, much like one learns another language and then doesn't use it, or is there a more lasting, enduring effect? I am, quote, and am aware of your query, my brother. The knowledge which you have observed and absorbed, my brother, is that which is abundant in its scope and its depth and application to your own life experience, as well as any conscious spiritual seeker's life experience. It is indeed registered within what you know of as your subconscious mind, as is so much other information from other incarnations, so that you have a vast library of information that is available to you through your subconscious mind. If your conscious mind has the determination and desire to seek that information in any particular portion of your life experience, it is your conscious mind which has the intention to do so. That is the determining factor in whether or not this information shall be available to you in your future. For it is that which is, as you have noted, practiced on a more conscious and continuous level that allows one to be able to recall that which has been studied in the past, that which has played a role in the present and in the future. This is a process which each seeker goes through, for whether it is the LL Research Library or any book or inspiration, any series of experiences that have enlightened one throughout the lifetime experience, then they're also become part of that library. You are, as you become a spiritual seeker of truth and continue on this journey, one which continues to add books to the shelf, shall we say, of the subconscious mind. These books are there in full to the subconscious mind and will be available to the conscious mind if desired by the conscious mind. So you are on a journey which has no end as you continue to gather experience. That is the true illuminator of your mind, your body, and your spirit. This is a journey which is that of many lifetimes, many densities, and much joy and learning that accrue from these applications of that which you have learned in your past. Your past becomes that library as well. So there are so many different sources of information to aid you on your journey that you will always be able to access that which is most needed at the moment. The need of the moment is that which is of the most importance, for in the present moment exists the infinity of time and space, and in this present moment you are moving forward on your spiritual journey, as is each conscious spiritual seeker of truth. Is there another query at this time? Yes, Ko, I have a query. When reincarnating, are souls always born into the space-time that we know of as Earth's future after their previous life? Or is it possible that a soul could choose to reincarnate into a space-time that we know of as Earth's past, if there was a certain lesson to be learned that was only available to them for more clarity? I'll give an example. Say my current life ends in the year 2053, and I am to be reincarnated. Is it set that I'm going to be reincarnated in the future after 2053, or is it possible to reincarnate in, say, the year 805 or 1597, sometime before the year 2053? I am, quote, and I'm aware of your query, my brother. This is a query to which we must say there is only the concept of past, present, and future within this third density illusion, so that when you are incarnated in your present incarnation and have learned the lessons of this incarnation to the best of your ability, and find the time of movement from this density into the inner realms of this earth to consider reincarnation, the reincarnation will be within this earth in the appropriate future time. For in the past, there is only that which has been learned in the past. In the present is where you exist at this time. Future incarnations will be in the future of this earth, for it is that place wherein you walk the journey of the seeker of truth in a sequential order of past, present, and future. Is there a follow-up query, my brother? No, thank you very much, Quo. I am Quo, and we thank you, my brother. Is there another query at this time? I have a query regarding the total solar eclipse that's coming out. I always view these as celestial and spiritual events, and I'm wondering if when these events occur, is there a particularly this one where the Earth is right now, those of us in third density, is there a particular focus or prayer or idea that we should focus on as this celestial event occurs, or does it make no difference? I am Quo, and I'm aware of your query, my sister. We would suggest that when these type of celestial events occur within your solar system, that there is a certain kind of power of love and light that is revealed to the entities upon the planet who may use it in a way which this love and light is reflected to others about one, whether it be by prayer, by the relationship obtained and maintained with others, or by visualizations, shall we say, so that this energy that is released at this time may be utilized in a variety of ways to aid those about one and oneself. For there is much that is revealed in the subconscious mind as well in the conscious mind when these energies are invited to be a part of the consciousness of the seeker of truth. Is there a further query, my sister? No, thank you. I have one, Quo. Is there anything that would encourage Jim today? I am Quo, and I'm aware of your query, my sister. We feel that this instrument is most surprised with and is not allowing us to speak as freely as we do wish. We shall give him a moment to, and then there's group laughter. We repeat that we are most pleased to say that this instrument has been honored to have been offered something that would be pleasing, and we find that the simple offer is that which is most pleasing, and this instrument thanks you for the offer. We feel that this offer is symbolic of the entire gathering this afternoon of this group, for each has offered to each other that portion of the self that is of the most importance spiritually, and has made that offering in an authentic manner in which each within the circle may feel the love and light of the Creator flowing to them, as each has shared that which you call the spiritual experiences within the round robin. This is the nature of the creation that you exist in, for all is one. The one Creator, and all have this ability to share the love of the Creator with each around it. And this is what all are here to do. And we are here most grateful, as is this instrument, that these offerings have been made. We thank each of you for being authentic seekers of truth. That truth that we are all one, that the Creator exists in all beings, that whatever you do on your spiritual path allows the Creator to know itself in ways that would not be possible had you not made certain choices that you make and given the Creator more food for growth, shall we say. At this time, we shall take our leave of this instrument and this group. We thank each in this group for being so conscientious in your seeking, so joyful in your sharing, and so unified in your desire to seek and serve the one in each other. We are known to you as those of Quo. We bid you adieu in the love and light of the one infinite Creator, Adonai, Vasu, Boragas. So I found this collection of different questions and answers in this channeling to be quite fascinating. There's lots of interesting stuff. One thing that I was very interested to see their answer to was the idea of reincarnating in the past. So here we have a direct contradiction with what Neville Goddard says. Neville says that all of time is already done, and that when we reincarnate, it can be far into the future or it can be in the past. So there is a contradiction here. As I found with R.J. Spina, the idea is that there are certain choices that we can make. We can enter into certain illusions and simulations that are not necessarily reincarnations, that can be past and future, but they're saying that when you reincarnate, it's always in the future. So that is one step. They ask about sexual energy transfer, and this is an idea that's discussed in the raw material or the law of one. And the idea is that when we have sex, there's a transfer of energy that occurs, particularly for people of a spiritual nature, and this is usually in the orange ray, but we can exchange energy in each of the energy centers, as well as the third eye, and we can activate and literally have orgasms in these different energy centers. You can have a heart orgasm or a third eye orgasm, and there can be an exchange of energy, and this is what happened on Venus when Ra transformed and moved into the fourth density. It was of the nature of sexual energy transfers. That's the most that I know about it. I know very little about it, only what I've been able to read. And so these questions help us to expand what little information that we have about it. They ask about people channeling Quo and other entities. And I found this important because I have found a blog in which people are claiming to channel Quo. And I've seen in other places people are claiming to channel Ra. And they're saying really the only place that you can channel Quo is with the small group now, and perhaps they will do it in the future, but it's with this group. Who's to say what's actually happening there? And I'm not denigrating those other channelings, but that's what they're claiming in this channeling. Another interesting question is about healing without the hands. I do believe that we can heal without even being in the same room as the other person, because I've experienced this, but the hands are the most effective way of healing. You're actually not healing someone. They're healing themselves, and you become a portal that allows them to escape from identifying with the sickness or disease and entering into the oneness of the Creator. And you become a portal for that, allowing them to heal themselves, for they are you. Another interesting question about preincarnational programming, something that's very important to Quo, they talk about often, is that we plan out our experiences prior to our incarnation, and things might come up that are not necessarily in line with that. And they do say there's some flexibility in the different experiences that we have, and that the primary goal is for us to look for the love in the moment. And as we constantly do that, that these experiences will help aid us, and there are no mistakes. There's lots of other interesting things in this channeling, so I would love to get your feelings for it. You can find all episodes of The Reality Revolution at therealityrevolution.com, and welcome to The Reality Revolution.